Top 5 beginner mistakes with smartphone videography. And the first one is of course using very short shutter speeds. Most of the time you get really jerky movement and a lot of strobe in your footage like you see from this example. And when you use the correct shutter speed like 1/50th of a second at 25 fps, you get really nice motion blur, the same as I'm getting right now. You can do the same thing with your hand and you'll see that the amount of motion blur is really similar to what you see with your own eyes. But unfortunately, it's not always possible, especially during sunny days. You have to crank up the shutter to 1/8000th of a second to expose properly, because in smartphones we don't have physical aperture and you are stuck to f1.8 on the One X camera, for example. And that's when the ND filters play a huge role, like our Freewell Pro Hybrid Filter Kit. Not only does it allow you to use correct shutter speeds, but also it has a VND, so you can change the amount of light that comes to your sensor, and it also combined with the CPL, so you can get rid of the reflections in cars or like water. And it has an ace up its sleeve. We have the insertable filters, for example an ND32 for really bright sunny days, or the mist filter to make the image look a bit softer and not as digitally sharpened, or even the gradient filter, which is great for landscape photography and videography. The second big mistake is always using automatic white balance and automatic exposure, because most of the time when you use auto exposure and white balance, your footage looks inconsistent. And as you can see from this example, we have the change of white balance. Sometimes the image looks warmer, sometimes cooler, and now we have the completely blown out background, so we don't want that. You can use a third-party app like Blackmagic Camera app to adjust the shutter speed, the white balance, and you have the ability to lock it in place. Or if you use the native camera app, you can tap and hold and you'll fix the focus and the exposure and white balance as well. So while filming, you won't have any major changes of exposure, and as you can see, I'm panning from one side to another and we have the consistent exposure and white balance. And as you probably saw in feature films or good music videos, they always have constant exposure and constant white balance. It looks super amateur when you use auto white balance and exposure. The third big mistake is moving your camera too fast and without a purpose, not thinking about the composition and the purpose of the shot in general. When you move your camera too fast, you get a lot of strobe or micro jitters, as we call them. Such footage looks really unpleasing to the eye and it doesn't allow the viewer to enjoy the footage. Panning slowly is the right way to go, and for this I would suggest using a tripod, and our Freewell Real 5-in-1 tripod allows you to do very slow and smooth pans. And with the correct panning speed, you will allow the viewer to see each and every detail without distractions and irritating strobe in your footage. And one more very important factor is of course the composition. The rule of thirds, the leading lines, the contrast and the balance of the image. Those are the key factors. And here is a little homework for you guys that will improve your feeling of composition. So just pick your phone, have a little walk around your city and make 10 to 15 static video shots. Make sure that the composition is really interesting, check for the leading lines, for the rule of thirds, the balance and the contrast. In each shot, try to find something that is moving without actually moving your camera. You can hold it still like so, or you can use a tripod. Of course, don't forget to lock the white balance and the exposure and try to use an ND filter if you have one. And after you come back home, make a little edit, like 1 minute or less, something similar to what I'm showing you right now on the screen. This exercise will make you think twice or maybe thrice about each and every shot and will improve your feeling of composition. The fourth big mistake is holding your smartphone in the wrong way, for example only with one hand. You have to hold it with both hands, something like this if you don't have a grip attached. This is our Freewell grip and it's super nice to hold like so. You have to put your elbows against your body and then you have to pan with all of your body. Don't use your hands for it, use the entire body for panning and then for tilting. And when it comes to actually moving with your smartphone to get the best results, you'll need to practice the ninja walk. From heel to toe, really slowly, bend your knees a little bit and move in a very straight line without doing like so. This movement is really hard to stabilize, even though the smartphones these days have really good stabilization inside. And the fifth big mistake is of course using the zoom in your smartphone without actually moving closer to your subject. Here is a little example. Right now I'm zooming in digitally to about 3.5x. And on the next shot, I simply came closer to the subject. Not only do I get different perspective, which I do prefer by the way from the One X camera, but also you get much cleaner results without digital zooming in and losing the resolution. Here is a different example, and once again you see how big of a difference that is. Of course, if you are on a concert of your favorite rapper, for example, you don't have an ability to move actually closer. That is why the 5x or 4x camera will be really handy. But if you do have an ability to come closer with your feet, the One X camera will always give you better results than the 4x. Digital zooming in might be a cool effect sometimes, but most of the time you'll get the best results when you use the proper 1x camera or sometimes 4x, 5x or 0.5x, but without digital zooming in. There you go guys, I hope right now you'll get much better results with your smartphone filmmaking, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.